very beautiful morning to you once again. Thank you so much for staying with us right here on Women Radio WFM 91.7. I hope that your day is going on well. I hope you're feeling great today. And I hope that, the weekend is definitely looking good for you. Thank God it's Friday. And hopefully all the good things that we have in store for the weekend will definitely come to pass, as long as you get to prepare for it. All right. So, yes, my name is Rose Yusuf Kaiser, and this is Women Radio WFM 91.7, Nigeria's first radio station for women and their families. And at this very moment, of course, I'm obstructing your music that you're enjoying, today being Friday, because there's something important that we need to talk about. All right, now this has to do with us as women, and of course, not just, the women, or let me say, not just the younger women that you get to see, but this has to do with the older women too, because sometimes we talk about issues, we talk about, cases that had to do with younger women, or that had to do with women who are still very agile, but sometimes we don't even take a look at what happens to the older women. All right, we don't take into cognizance of their health, what they go through, and probably some of the things they are trying to heal from that happened when they were young. Because whether we like it or not, some of the life experiences that we get to gather, or some of the life experiences that we get to have or go through in life, at the end of the day, when we get old and we are no longer as active as we should, then you get to have all of these things coming back, and it gets to affect us in one way or the other. So today with me, I have the Executive Director of Center for Gender Economics. All right. And of course, we are here to talk about violence that affects older women. We're here to talk about how we can be of support, all right, to older women. Now, what am I talking about? I'm talking about how we can support older women to heal from the effects of violence they endured throughout their lives. All right, so that's what we'll be talking about, and then within the next 26 minutes. Okay, so with me, joining me virtually is Uchenna Idoko, the Executive Director, Center for Gender Economics. And like I said, like we all know, women go through different forms of violence in their lifetime. Well, not all, but a very, large amount of women actually go through different forms of violence in their lifetime. Now, the effects of this can extend to their old age, and of course, it can actually mess up with their mental health, and all of that at their old age. So, today, that's what we'll be talking about, at least for the next few minutes, with Uchenna Idoko, the Executive Director Center for Gender Economics. All right, good morning, Uchenna. Thank you for joining us today.
Good morning, dear. I'm very happy to be here this morning.
All right, very excited to have you too. I hope the day is looking good for you.
Yes, it is. It is. I'm having to talk about one of the things that makes me happy to talk about. I think it's a very beautiful day.
Okay. All right, so we'll just get on straight to it. To be a part of this conversation, please do well to send us a text or a WhatsApp message on 070-317 56537. You can also go ahead, in the course of the discussion, maybe you have an experience you want to share with us. Please use the number 07000 917 917 to call in, and let's get to hear your own experience, because at the end of the day, hearing your own experience might just encourage another woman to share her story, and by that will definitely take out the culture of silence totally, and which actually comes to us as a form of healing. Okay, so let's just head on straight to it now. As Executive Director of Center for Gender Economics, tell us about the impact of violence that women have gone through, and the impact of this in their old age, because sometimes you might not feel the impact of this because you have so many things to think about. You're going to work, you probably get your life going, but once you're getting old, you begin to realize that there are fewer things for you to do. You probably have to stay in one place more often, and all of that just comes back to you, and it keeps haunting you. So tell us about the effects of or rather the impact of violence on older women.
Right. So older women go through many older women had experienced violence in their younger lives, and some are still experiencing violence even up till their old age. From my experience and our work with women in Lagos State, especially older women in Lagos State, we found out that there are different kinds of violence these women have gone through in their younger age. Some of them have gone through, emotional abuse. Some have gone through thorough physical abuse, unreported, untold, and are carrying the burden to old age. Some of them have gone through financial violence. In fact, sometimes they will look at you and say, I don't even have penny on me. There is no 10,000, in my name, even in my 70s, 80s. Some of them have gone through, even very surprisingly, religious violence. Some of them never liked their place of worship, but they were forced to be there. Whether you like it or not, this is where to be. And so all this kind of violence they've carried through, like you rightly said, when people are carrying along violence with activity, sometimes they, subsume it and manage through it. But once they enter the twilight of their lives, and things begin to quieten down, they're retired from work, children leave the house, there's an empty nest in the house, maybe the spouse dies or one mishap or the other, this impact starts getting very visible, and it starts showing. So it's very important to take cognizance of the kind of violence they've gone through, and that it has impact much more in the twilight of their lives. And we can go on to talk about the impact of this violence. One of them that is very, very obvious, that hasn't been told, a lot of untold stories, is death. A lot of women suffer violence because of the culture of silence we have in Nigeria, for example. They never tell it. And then life is life. Nobody has your internal anatomy. And then one hit, another hit, and before you know it, those women drop dead. And close families come together, hold meetings, and close it up, and remove violence away from it and give it a name. And these women are gone, never to come back again, because their life has been cut short. Secondly, for us is violence has a way of coming back with isolation, exclusion, shame, and then these women start getting very depressed, distressed, and it impacts their mental health. And then they manage through it. You can see some women, one was sharing with us in a psychosocial circle we had one time, that was a particular day she was headed to a different direction of, Lagos, and she saw herself somewhere else because she had just managed through running away from beating that morning from her intimate partner. So you can imagine having to handle this for decades, and then at old age, mentally, a lot of women are working without a proper mental health because of violence, trauma. Another thing that people talk less about is poverty. The feminized poverty we have, especially in old age, that has even made our constitution, or not our constitution, but our national policy, look at old age as a time to hand out welfare, is because of the kind of poverty that violence have put women through. You know that a lot of elderly women, walk through what we call invisible economy. Some of them, they were called, these ones are stay-home moms, but are working night and day, ensuring that their husbands or their intimate partner or their siblings that are working in the visible economy work hard. So they lack sleep. Upon that, they are abused. Upon that, they keep giving the much or the little they have. to their families. And upon that, some of the women that work in the visible economy combine it with unpaid care, the wear and tear of the unpaid care, plus abuse that they take along to the workplace. And of course, the workplace is not a bed of roses. So you're coming to your workplace with, impact of this abuse, and then some of them go late because of managing to look for goggles, scarves to cover shades of beating, and then they manage to go to work. And of course, they have to go through the punitive action and all that. Sometimes they get sacked because of all these, inconsistencies, and they are poor. And so in old age, they are handed over PTS. And remember, Nigeria's inheritance law, especially in the southern part of the country, especially the southeast, a woman does not inherit nothing, especially land. It's only the men. So at old age, there is no land, there's no capital to work with, there's no savings, nothing. And so a chronic poverty. Some of these women are beaten because they complain about infidelity. And through this incessant infidelity, some of them are carrying on with HIV, AIDS, herpes, and a whole lot of, sexually transmitted disease. So it's very high blood pressure from depression and trauma, mental, ill health. All this mental ill health comes, your village people. That is not just it. It's the impact of, layers of violence men have gone through.
Oh, wow.
So I think this is one of the, basic reason why we are doing what we are doing today. To bring this to the public domain, let's talk about it. And let's also find solutions to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for bringing all of this out, because at the end of the day, you have some people who will say, now old woman, now which problem she will get? But you never can tell what she has gone through in her lifetime, that is probably affecting her or making her behave the way she behaves, at the end of the day, because sometimes we don't give utmost care and concern where we're supposed to do so. All right. And you spoke about mental health, which is important. Even without getting old, the day-to-day activities that you're going through, things that happen to you on a daily basis actually makes you sit down and want to think, am I sure I'm really okay, or I need to go, get myself checked in terms of, making sure that your mental health is okay, let alone you have spent your, adulthood and you have not been able to check up on your mental health up till you get old. So you can imagine how all of what you've gone through might just come back flooding back and give you double of all of that. So thank you very much. If you're just joining us right here on Women Radio, this is Nigeria's first radio station for women and their families. And today we are speaking to Uchenna Idoko, the Executive Director, Center for Gender Economics. And of course, we are looking at how we can support older women to heal from the effects of violence they endured throughout their lives. All right. And she has been able to tell us about, the impact of this violence on older women, the various forms of violence, and, the long-term effect of this. And, she actually mentioned death, which is part of it. And that is something that we cannot, overemphasize, or we cannot talk about enough, because we want to bring awareness to this. All right, so let's go to the different approaches to healing, because you mentioned, quite a number of, illnesses. We're talking about mental health. We're talking about emotional, distress. We're talking about different aspects of, woman's health. So where do we go from this as an older woman, or rather, let's say for older women, where do they go from this? How are they able to, what approaches do they need to take in order to heal from all of this? Because we're saying they're older, and some persons will say, though they don't old now, where did they find healing go? We're saying they won't use the healing take do at this age, but here we are hearing that it is important. So what are some of the different approaches that could bring healing for older women, or older women could get healing from?
Okay, right. So I want to also state that the processes are different for different women.
Okay.
So the issue of intersectionality comes to play. For a woman in the rural area, the help she can access to heal is different from the women in the urban area. Okay, they also have, services they can access. Women that are rich or richer might have, more services to access than the women in the lower income earning rather. And then even the intersectionality of religion, intersectionality of the kind of family that these women are from is also very important to think through as we're talking about the strategies for healing. The first for us is family support. Family support is very key. It's just so sad for us that I've worked and are still working with older women in Lagos State for the past, it's going to 5 years now since 2019,
wow.
that sometimes the family, their children, their siblings, their loved ones that are supposed to come through for them at old age when this impact starts showing up, also further violates them by abandonment, by calling them things like witches, tracing back every bad and ill thing to them. So the first place to get support is families. I want to use this opportunity to talk to families. If, of course, as children, when we are small, if we're from dysfunctional homes, and we see that our parents are going through, mothers especially are going through abuse, we were helpless at that time. This is the time to help. This is the time to step in and help that woman. That never assume that somebody that passed through violence 2 decades ago, 3 decades ago, that it's gone. It still hurts till death. So this is the time that family should step in. Family should allow those women tell their stories. There's something about talking about it, talking about abuse. Is number one pathway to healing. But people can only talk about it when they know it's a safe space. There's no woman that passed through violence that you will put on the podium and say, okay, share your story. No. Family is the children. Can sit their parents down, their mothers especially, and say, what exactly happened? There are guide questions online. There are psychosocial guide questions. I'm talking about people, maybe in the rural area, you cannot access therapy. Okay, I don't want to run off and just say there are therapy. You can go to the hospital, you can go to psychosocial centers and get therapy. In the absence of affording therapy, there are guide questions online that you can access to let these women speak out. Allow them cry it out. Don't think their tears is too cheap. Oh, mommy, you're 70 now. Oh, daddy is dead already and gone. You should have forgotten about it. No. Allow them to tell their story. So family should be there to support, hold their hands, hug them. I've done that for family members.
Okay.
That have gone through it. And I know the joy in their eyes, the way their eyes brightens up after those stories. And you are not saying, oh, why? And all that, or shouting, that was so painful. You would have gone through this. You would have gone through that. And that is number one for me. So it's time to accept them. It's time to allow them know that for you to have outlived that time, for you to have survived it, for you to be a survivor, let's be thankful and then let's listen to the story. Okay. Because there is also lessons. People like us have listened to such stories, have also learned lessons to prevent such to happen in any space we find ourselves. Another strategy is support group, finding the right support group for these women. Okay. This support group can be in any platform. It can be among their friends. I had a mom that went through a bit of this kind of violence. And I remember sometime in her 60s, She was just telling me, oh, I wish I can speak to my classmates that she went to one special school in Imo State, and she'll say, oh, I wish I can get St. Catherine's old girls. So the only thing they ask you for, please look for a way to get it.
All right.
They're trying to get through, the impact of this violence. Find them a support group. Can be a WhatsApp group. Find some of their friends. Find 3 of them that are not feeling their own, maybe marriages or associations was impeccable and devoid of abuse. No. The ones that they have similar experiences.
Okay.
Even in the communities, you can find such support group.
Mm-hmm.
Through the funding from Action Aid and Global Affairs Canada, our Center for Gender Economics have such self-help groups. We call it, we organize what we call well-being parties for these elderly women. We are probably looking for a way to scale it up because it's working. 96 years old, 86 years old, 72 years, still sharing these stories. And they're getting much more better. So support group, religious group, both in the mosque and our churches, should create groups for elderly women. Women are not homogeneous. We always think women are homogeneous in our churches. So, this is a women leader. So every CWO, every woman is in. No, the women are not homogeneous.
Okay.
You have younger women, you have women in their reproductive years, you have women post-reproductive years.
All right.
55 and above. Call them a name. There are churches that have it, they call them golden age, and let them come together and think about their issues.
All right.
Media has a part to play in this healing. Rather than allowing every talk around elderly women look like, oh, they're witches, they're bad mother-in-laws, please beam the light on the good things. It helps them because they're the highest consumers of media products. Most of them are indoors. Most of them have not seen sunlight in months, in years. Morbidity has set in. They are going through arthritis and the rest, and they're indoors. They consume a lot of media products.
All right.
So the media should take a responsibility, even in this healing.
Okay.
And even not-for-profit organization. The most important for us is the government. In the global north, you find out that they have community centers, and in these community centers they have dedicated community centers for elderly women and men, not just elderly women, but they have sections, they have activities that help them bring them out and go for tours, go and admire nature, talk, dance, do ball dances. All these things help. In Nigeria, I remember vividly because I did a research around it, in 2016, Ambode's government in Lagos State announced that they will be setting up 5 community centers for the elderly persons in Lagos State. I remember it was supposed to be in 5 places: Ikorodu, Badagry, Epe, Alimosho, Lagos Island. And what happened? The next year, in the budget, we still traced it to the budget. In the budget in 2017, in Lagos State, had 2,698 billion naira dedicated for this cause. But till today, not even one has been, built.
Because all right, Chena, have to.
Yeah, because this setting can serve as a one-stop center for elderly care.
All right,
where people can come and give this support, handhold them to what we see happen in the global north. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much too for giving us different approaches that we could be of support to older women. So our time is fast spent. We just have about a minute to go. But tell us about the Sterling Bank grant, and then you give us your final words with all of this. What you want us as a society to do, how you want us to be more open, so that we can kill the culture of silence in a minute, if you can.
Okay, so it's also a call to listeners to please check us up in the Sterling Bank Foundation platform. We're running a campaign to support our well-being party groups in communities in Lagos State. And in one word, as we close, for me, it's if you are suffering violence right now, you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, please get out of it. Find a way to get, especially physical violence. None of this violence have lighter impact. Get out of it, because your old age that you're supposed to be enjoying will be bitter because of the impact. And let's break this silence. Let's stop stigmatizing women that came out of violence because they are running for their own lives. Let's remember the word that Martin Luther said, that darkness, cannot change darkness, but it's only light that can do that. So let's be light for these elderly women. Let's hold their hands wherever we see them, in our communities, in our families, even in buses. Help them and speak good words.
Okay.
Some of them till they die will never hear "I like you" or "you're beautiful" or you matter, your words matter. These are little ways that we can pay back to these hands that held us in our cradles. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you too. Thank you so much, Uchenna Idoko, for coming on and talking to us about the elderly, because sometimes I think we just need someone that will just draw our ears more, on this. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Uchenna. And I wish you all the best in the work you do and all that Center for Gender Economics does for the elderly. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. Bye. Do have a great weekend.
You too, dear.
All right. So there you have it from the Executive Director Center for Gender Economics, Uchenna Idoko, and telling us how we can support older women to heal from effects of violence they have endured all through their lives. So from all she said, you can see that we all have a part to play in our religious places, in our environment, as an individual, private organizations, even the government, all have a part to play to make sure that, we create a safe space for the elderly, because you never can tell what they've gone through. And most of the time, they actually go through what they go through because of us, if you look at it. All right, because, you have somebody who is old in your family. You have somebody who has gone through something to make you be who you are or where you are right now. So please, let's be good people, all right, to our elderly people around us. All right, so thank you all so much for being part of this amazing program we just had. My name is Rose Yusuf Kaiser. Do want to stay tuned to Women Radio, WFM 91.7. Good morning.
WFM 91.7.